my future gave me a sense of security and relief. Additionally, StudyCo has been accommodating and extremely understanding, and that is why I would strongly recommend StudyCo to anyone.
Hello, I am Jason Matthias and I went to Indian school and graduated in the year 2017. I then approached StudyCo, specifically Miss Annette Rosario, to gain help in pursuing my studies in the United Kingdom. It was a very smooth process from the beginning till the end. The list of required documents were given to me well in advance. The procedures were laid out very well and the visa procedures were explained thoroughly. With the help of Miss Annette and her persistent work towards my application, I was able to make my way into Solent University in Southampton, United Kingdom.
Hi everyone, my name is Rochelle Vaz and I'm a former ISMite. After passing out from ISM in 2014 with flying colors, I really wanted to pursue MBBS to become a doctor, but I just didn't know where to begin. I came across StudyCo just by chance, and they provided me with excellent guidance, not just in understanding the gravity of medical education, but also showed me the right path to achieving my dreams. They guided me all through the application process for Monash University, Malaysia, which is an Australian university in Malaysia, and took away a large part of my anxiousness in this regard.
Hello everyone, my name is Rupali and I am currently studying in Australia. So I always had this dream of going and studying abroad, and StudyCo has helped me immensely in achieving my dream. So I am here in Australia just because of them. They helped me in every step of the way, from filling in applications to arranging documents, filling in visa applications, everything. Even though the process was so complicated, they made it very easy. They do everything for you and they never get irritated even if you ask them small questions again and again. So I encourage you all to go through StudyCo. They are wonderful people and I would recommend them to everyone. Thank you.
So, there are a few cool programs and services we offer at StudyCo that you may not know about. The first group, for all the teachers, principals and education staff out there, StudyCo has a range of professional development programs in every aspect possible: leadership programs, education management and courses to upskill. We can also organise overseas tours for counsellors, teachers and principals with Australian schools, universities and the Department of Education. The delivery? Of course, we can deliver these programs in person in Australia as a tour, or we can even do virtual tours of exactly the same experience in the current situation. Another great aspect of these teacher training programs is that we can bring someone right here to Oman or any other part of the world to conduct this training. At StudyCo, we are flexible, we can tailor-make solutions to suit your needs. The second group. This one is for all students, parents, teachers and anyone really. StudyCo offers online courses in every single field imaginable, including business, engineering, health, law, oil and gas, soft skills like CV writing, interviews, personal development, English, the CELTA. I still haven't even scratched the surface. So you name it, we can arrange it. These can be completed in a matter of hours, days or months. You pick. Come to us with your subject of interest, or let us help you pick. Give us a time frame and we can deliver it online. If you have any questions, our office in Quorum is open for business and you can come meet any of our team in person to discuss your future study journey. Hope to see you there. I'm Mubaraka. I'm here in the StudyCo Oman office and I wanted to take this opportunity to answer some common FAQs from students and parents. Number 1. So at StudyCo, we do the entire application and visa process for you free of charge. So that means we have counsellors that help students decide exactly what they want to study, which university is best for that area of study, and the right destination country to suit all your needs. We then gather your documents and the rest is done by us. Number 2. So StudyCo assists in finding the right accommodation options, and we generally recommend that the student stays on campus for the first year of their degree. Health cover, we have a great provider in Allianz, and the processes are done entirely through us. In terms of the on-the-ground support, StudyCo's headquarters are located in Australia, with countless onshore services available to students at all times. Students or parents can get in touch with any StudyCo staff across our offices in over 20 countries, and we will help you out. We can even take care of your travel needs. So we provide a truly comprehensive service. And don't forget, it's free. Question number 3. So we know that permanent residency and migration is always on everyone's minds, especially when it comes to studying in Australia. At StudyCo, we have great migration agents that can personally help guide you through the entire process, including any questions you have. We are all about making things just that much easier for students, parents, and teachers. And the final question, why Australia? So at StudyCo, we send students to study across the entire world. There isn't a single country we haven't tapped into yet. So you can come to us with any destination you have in mind. We do specialise in Australia, and as you all know, Australian institutions are ranked amongst the top in the world, and so is our standard of living. These universities also offer great part scholarships, grants, and are ranked very highly for graduate employability. So I think that definitely solves a lot of the concerns that all the parents out there would have. If you have any other questions, our office in Coram is open for business, and you can come meet us and any of our StudyCo staff at any time. Hope to see you there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nabhan Najib of Class 11A from Indian School Muscat, your host for the session. We are delighted to have you all with us today for Avenue 2020, a mission to enkindle the minds of students in diversified fields and motivate them to choose the course of their interest and caliber. First and foremost, I take this opportunity to express a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq for his great vision, leadership, and benevolence. May the Almighty bless His Majesty and this beautiful nation with peace and prosperity. I deem it my privilege to extend a hearty welcome to Honorable Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in the Sultanate of Oman, Dr. Baby Sam Samuel, and honorable members on the board, Mr. Ajay Kumar Pillai, President, Indian School Muscat Management Committee, and the other esteemed members of Indian School Muscat Management Committee, our Honorable Principal, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Chauhan, Presidents and esteemed Management Committees members of all Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman, Honorable Principals, Vice Principals, Assistant Vice Principals, Supervisors, Coordinators, Heads of Departments, teachers, parents, and students. Today, we are privileged to have with us Ms. Andrea Triplo from Rcsi, Bahrain, who will talk to us on Pathway to Medical University.
Good morning, and thank you very much for that warm welcome. Hello, I would like to present to you virtually this morning about the pathway to medical school and healthcare. We've done a lot of research into this area, and we split it into three main areas: explore, decide, and apply. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to just talk you through some slides. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Oh, hang on. Excuse me. Bear with me 1 second. Why is that not coming up? Let's get rid of this. Sorry, having a little technical difficulty here. Let's try again. Okay. I hope you can all see this. Just a little introduction to this. Should take about 30 minutes, and we're going to talk through a little bit about the background to what you should be thinking about at this stage about medical school, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. RCSI stands for the Royal College of Surgeons, and we were founded in Dublin in Ireland over 200 years ago. We have a rich history in delivering healthcare education and have a completely healthcare focused environment. Whereas with many other universities, you may be sitting and studying with people who are looking at law or engineering, perhaps drama. Ours is solely focused on healthcare. Now, this can be really positive for students because pretty much everybody who is studying at the university has either experienced what you have experienced before or will experience it going forward. We have 4 worldwide locations: Dublin, Bahrain, Dubai, and Malaysia, with over 20,000 alumni. Now, the alumni is very important to students, and I'll explain why that is a little later. We also ranked in the top 2% of the Times Higher Educational University World Rankings, which essentially puts us in the top 200 to 250 universities in the world. So with many students travelling to Dublin from the Middle East each year, RCSI looked to establish a leading healthcare institution in the heart of the Gulf. So along with the Bahraini government, RCSI Bahrain was established in 2004. We have 3 academic schools: the School of Nursing and Midwifery, the School of Postgraduate Studies and Research, and the School of Medicine, which I'm here to talk to you about today. We also have 40 different nationalities studying with us, with between 1,200 to 1,300 students on campus at any given time. Now, obviously, that is slightly different at the moment with COVID. So we are able to absolutely allow our students to do all of the practical work that they need to do, and that's with a mixture of online, but hopefully that won't be the case for forever going forward. We also have 166 full-time staff from all global locations, and they support this program. At RCSI, our campuses are globally aligned, and this is done for 2 reasons. Quality being the first reason. So, for example, any student studying in Dublin will be taking the same and sitting the same exam as any students in Bahrain. So if a student sits an exam at 10 o'clock in Dublin, the same exam will be sat at exactly the same time in Bahrain at 12 o'clock. And secondly, because once you graduate, you will graduate with a degree from the Rcsi Bahrain, and very importantly, the National University of Ireland certificate, which is awarded by the Irish Medical Council, will facilitate you to work anywhere in the world. And probably if you take anything from this presentation today, be sure that whichever university you decide to study with allows you to practice in the country that you would like to practice in. We have had situations of students in Bahrain go to China and study an exceptionally good course and come out with an exceptionally good qualification. But if the ministry of the country that you want to work in, for instance, there we had the Ministry of Bahrain, did not recognize that exam and that qualification, then they're unable to practice there. So that's something that you should really be looking at and checking out when you are looking at which university you should be studying at. When you qualify with us, you qualify with a Bachelor of Medicine, also obstetrics and gynecology and surgery. So breaking it down into the 3 areas that I mentioned earlier, the explore, decide and apply stage. Explore. If you're going to take on the role of a doctor, be sure that you know what that's going to entail. I think many students see lots of glamorized identifications of being a doctor. We see things on television, we see things like Scrubs and Grey's Anatomy, where it's all glitz and glamour and saving lives. We very much stress it's hard work, it's long hours, you have to be an excellent communicator. You are not going to be working 9 to 5. You've got to go out there and you've got to get some knowledge of what it is to be a doctor. Now, you can do that in many different ways. Obviously, things are slightly harder at the moment because of the restrictions of COVID. But do you have a family member who's a doctor? Do you have friends who are doctors? Be asking them lots of questions. You probably have your own doctor. That person at one point sat where you are sitting and was looking to think about a career in healthcare. Ask them if you can perhaps shadow them. If you maybe go back to a different country during the holidays, see if you can find some work experience there. A lot of the hospitals will have a volunteers button that you can click onto on their website, and that perhaps give you some experience of what it is to be a doctor. It's very important in your application process to really be understanding what the role entails. YouTube is excellent. You can find a lot of information there. And reading books. There's certainly many books from different countries that are semi-autobiographical of people who've worked in healthcare. So make sure at this stage, before you take this path any further, that you've really explored the role of a doctor and you're keen for it to be something you want to pursue. Also, it's important to look at the career path of a doctor. There are many different qualifications you can take where within 4 or 5 years you are launching into your career and you're off and running as such. But certainly the career path of a doctor is a long one. Before you become a a qualified senior consultant, it's going to take you about 14 to 16 years. If you decide to study in the United States, you're going to be doing 4 years medical school, 4 years pre-med, and then 4 years medical school. So you're going to be 8 years of studying before you're even doing your work experience. So from that perspective, really think it through. We work with the European course, and the fastest route to being qualified is 5 years prior to that work experience. So again, be sure you know what you're taking on. You don't have to know the specialty that you want to go into, but you certainly do have to be aware of that career path. And thirdly, healthcare issues in your area. That's your geographical area. When you go on interview, you are going to be asked questions about this. So you must be keeping an interest in that. If you were to perhaps get to be interviewed in the United Kingdom, they wouldn't expect you to know everything about what is happening in the United Kingdom, but they would be expecting you to have a very good understanding of what is key in the GCC. And we would be looking at things like diabetes, we'd be looking at sickle cell, and we would be looking at perhaps obesity, but obviously COVID is something that everyone should be aware of, what is happening at the moment. So just be aware. So those 3 areas, when you're in the explore stage, you want to be sure that you've really covered and you're keeping a very good understanding of. So when you've made your decision, you've explored the opportunity and you've decided that being a doctor is for you, you now need to think about the university that you would like to study with. And I think it's good to, at this stage, ask yourself some questions. Firstly, does it have that international reputation and accreditation? Make sure that that is a box that you have ticked, that you have asked that question. Secondly, how does the program and the curriculum structure work? Well, it might be that you go to a university where it's very similar to the way that you're being taught at school, which is probably with your teacher stood at the front and you, the class cohort facing them and the questions being asked. It might be that they work with a problem-based learning structure. Now that might suit you very well. It might be a big step from the classroom to be in a situation where you're given a problem as a group or a sole person to go away and find the answers and then report back to that group. So just be sure you know how that curriculum is being structured before you take it on. Academic requirements and admission process. That's something that, again, at this stage, if you are working towards a particular university, you should know what it is that they're requiring, which subjects you should be taking and the grades that they're looking for. So be sure that you have done all of this research beforehand. Tuition fees and living costs. Now these can vary dramatically. For instance, if you were to look to go to the UK and work in central London, study in central London, your living costs are going to be extremely different to perhaps if you were in the perhaps more northern regions of the country. Also look at where am I going to be living in correlation with where I'm going to university, in correlation with where the teaching hospitals are. Is it going to be safe for me to travel late at night to do some sort of on-call type work later on in the course? So just be sure you understand all of the logistics around what you're taking on, because it is a long journey. It's a tough journey. It's a fantastic journey, but it's one that you've got to be sure that you've researched all the different areas so that you're prepared. And look at the quality of facilities. Are they going to be able to offer you exactly what you need to get the qualification that you want? Certainly, if you were to study in the States, we know that there are universities of the size of small villages. Or towns. Equally, on the other end of the scale, there are universities that are perhaps a few rooms in a shopping mall. So be sure you know what you're taking on. So you've looked at the role of a doctor, you've looked at asking yourself many questions about the universities that you are keen to study at, and then you're going to get to the apply stage. Now, importantly, you've got to put together a personal statement. Now, this is not going to be your first attempt. And importantly, with medical school, it's not enough just to be keen on science and want to help people. Students that study medicine are not only have outstanding grades, they need to show and express their clear intrinsic motivations for wanting to become a doctor. And that is shown by the things I talked about earlier in terms of what have I read, what have I experienced, have I been able to shadow somebody, have I really tried to find out what that role entails, and be able to communicate that through a personal statement to make myself stand out from the rest of the other students. Also personal reflections, so during that work experience or that exposure, what did I think about it, and what are my reflections on that? So again, your personal statement won't be the first one you write, and I'm sure that you have student counsellors who are going to be able to help you with that and prepare for that. Then you need to prepare for relevant admission tests. With Rcsi Bahrain, we are a European course, but because we are not based in Europe, we do not have to put our students through any sort of exams. So it is a direct application, and it's a rolling application. So we don't have a cut-off point. When our courses are full, and they will then start a wait list until the day the actual program starts. But other situations, you are going to have to be prepared for the relevant admission test, be it the NEET, the HPAT, the BMAT, or the UCAT. And I know that, again, that's something that many papers in terms of practice papers should be done, and preparation from that side before you sit your paper. And preparation for any relevant admission interviews, and these usually take two forms. So you've got the MMI style interview, which is the multiple mini interview. This usually is about 10 stations, and you will be moving from station to station, usually about 10 minutes at each station, and they'll be looking at various parts of your personality. It might be that one station is looking at critical thinking, another at your ability to work under pressure. And during that time, you could be asked to perhaps act out something. You'll be given a situation and asked to act it out. You might just be asked to answer the question, and you've got to be prepared. It can be quite a stressful experience, but if you're prepared, you will be ready to do that. And that's the scores that you get from your MMI will be added together with your academic scores, and that will give you your overall score for that university. The semi-structured interview, that's the more traditional style of interview, and actually that is the one that we use at Rcsi, which is usually a one-to-one environment, where we would really want to be looking back at what it says at the top. You know, why do you want to become a doctor? Why are you looking to take this career path? And it is a two-way discussion, and it is an opportunity for you to be asking your questions at this point of the university. So it is a two-way process. So just be sure that whichever interview process you go through, it's not the first interview you ever go through. Have some role play interviews, and you can do that. Fantastic if you have somebody who is involved with medicine that can help you to do that, but if not, then certainly just being able to do some sort of role play would be great, and there are some amazing things on YouTube to help you to do that. So the Rcsi medical program, a little bit about us. Essentially, we have a 5-year program with a foundation year and the MCP program, which makes the medical program 7 years. So to break that down, the MCP is a bridging year, which is maybe for people who decide late on that they want to study medicine, or for people that need support with their sciences or English, as our curriculum is taught completely in English. The foundation year is our most common entry point into the introduction, and it's an introduction to biomedical sciences and professionalism. We find many students want to enter at this point because it gives them a year to fine-tune their sciences and the professionalism, but also to get a year of perhaps living away from home for the first time, getting used to university life, and being ready for when that 5-year program starts. And this is your introduction into clinical studies. And So for the first year of the 5-year program, you'll be looking at the systems within the body and how they all work. You'll then move on to looking at what happens when those systems go wrong, so pathology, sickness, and death. And then in the last 2 years of the program, you'll be working in one of our teaching hospitals and being able to experience a range of different specialties that you can pursue in the future. So essentially in the last 2 years, you'll be acting and behaving like a doctor, you'll be wearing your white coat, your stethoscope, you'll be on call, you won't be spending much time at the university. You'll be very much out at the 3 teaching hospitals. In fact, our campus has a teaching hospital right next door. So in the morning, students are flooding onto the campus and some are going straight into the medical hospital next door. We have a gate at the back. And we have 2 other hospitals that we work with in Bahrain. So moving on to our clinical teaching. During your time studying with us, you will be able to experience a large amount of clinical exposure before you actually start working in the hospitals. Our Clinical Simulation Centre is a state-of-the-art facility on campus, which emulates a real-life hospital ward. We have mannequins that can talk, cry, laugh, they can give birth, they can have heart attacks, and it's all to create a real-life hospital situation for students. It's safe, it's controlled. Students can learn to take blood on prosthetics before actually having to do the real thing on a real-life patient. And the sessions in the Clinical Simulation Centre can also be recorded by video and audio for analysis. And now on to a few other bits and pieces about the university. We have a digital dissection table. In our part of the world, we are unable to work with cadavers. They are able to in Ireland, in Dublin. But we have found that our students have fared extremely well. And in fact, some of the top scores that we've been seeing have been from those who have worked with the digital dissection table. As I mentioned before, we have 3 teaching hospitals, one directly next door. We also work with a military hospital as well within Bahrain. We're able to give students as much clinical exposure as required with the hospitals we work with, and they'll get to experience everything, as I said before, from ward rounds, on call, looking at bedside and theatre sessions. Now, during your time at Rcsi, you'll be required to complete a research elective and clinical elective. Most students at this period look to go overseas for a number of reasons. The first reason is to experience basically other countries and their working environment, their culture. And the other is it's usually a really good way to build relationships and build their next network. If they've got an interest in returning to that country in the future as a doctor, then the network is starting to be built. Now onto the next page, I can show you where our students have been able to undertake their electives. And as you can see here, it has been a truly global opportunity for those students. Career support. To facilitate the electives, we have a dedicated careers team who will help you in a number of ways, including matching back preparations, licensing exam preparations. They'll have alumni career sessions. And these are very important because from the day that you start the first day of your 5-year course, you'll be asked and supported by the careers department to decide which country you're going to thinking that you were going to be working in. Now, from that point, you'll be preparing for those licensing exams. When you qualify, you'll be able to go straight into that work experience, be it to the UK to do an F1 and F2 experience. But it means that when you've finished with Rcsi, you can go straight into preparation for that work. So instead of having a break and having to take the licensing exams, 98% of our students go straight into their work experience. And that can be very much assisted by the alumni who help with that. And as I said, one-to-ones, career seminars, and we would help with all of that preparation so that you're immediately ready to go into that work experience. And here is just an idea of where our qualified doctors are now working in the world. Again, a truly global opportunity. Okay. So if anybody would now, I'll just stop sharing. If anybody would like to ask any questions, I would be very keen to answer any.
We have now, let's move on to the queries from our audience. Thank you so much. That was quite an impressive presentation. Dear participants, you are requested to fill the feedback form at the end of the session, which is necessary requirement for receiving the participation certificates. The first question we have is, when do RCSI Bahrain's programs commence?
Commence. So we haven't opened admissions yet. We are looking to open admissions on the 29th of this month. What I would suggest is if anybody is keen to receive information about that, I know that you have my details. I would just need an email address and a full name. I can then make sure that they receive a notification of the program's opening. In terms of when they commenced, it will be depending upon the program you take, they do start at slightly different times, but it's going to be September, October of 2021. So that will be when they commence, but admissions are going to be opening around about the 29th, waiting for the absolute confirmation, but I can certainly make people aware of that should they be interested.
We have furthermore questions coming up. Is RCSI Bahrain accredited by the Irish Medical Council?
Absolutely. I think, as I mentioned there, you will receive a worldwide accreditation when you study with Bahrain and Ireland, which allows you to practice anywhere in the world. And I think that is one of the key things, that whichever university you decide to study with, be sure that you have that it has that accreditation, because I think we live in such a global world now, and people want to work everywhere. Then I think that, be sure that it has that accreditation wherever it is you choose.
There's one more question coming up. After graduating from RCSI, will I be able to get into government hospitals in the GCC?
Will I be able to, sorry?
Will I be able to get into the government hospitals in the GCC?
To work at those hospitals?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can work at any of those hospitals in the GCC.
Oh, there's one more other question coming up. Are students interviewed as part of the application process?
So what happens, all the applications are through our website, but obviously we have a very supportive admissions team. Once you've submitted everything, you'll be asked for interview. Usually that would be on campus, face to face, but obviously we're doing everything online at the moment. But then after the interview, you're not interviewed prior to admission, prior to applying. Once you've applied, that's when you will have your interview.
Is the RCSI Bahrain degree recognized in India?
Is the RCSI Bahrain degree part of the NEET? Was that the question?
Yes, yeah. It helps.
No, absolutely. It's recognized by NEET. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. What do I do if I'm experiencing difficulties with my RCSI online application?
Sorry, could you say that again about the online application?
Yeah, like what do I do if I'm experiencing difficulties with my RCSI online application? Who can I approach to if I need any help?
Okay, you can certainly approach me. I am the representative for Oman. I am based in Dubai, but if anybody has any questions or queries, then please do. I hope that my email is available. I'm certainly absolutely here to help anybody, so please do come directly to me if you have any queries or questions.
Are there any accommodation on campus in RCSI Bahrain?
Yes, RCSI Bahrain, the campus is a dedicated campus. I think, as I said at the beginning, it was a built for purpose campus. It's about 10 minutes from the airport as you land into Bahrain. And we have accommodation there, which has we call a sort of nice house mum and dad who are on campus there, and they will help students. So if you were, if for instance somebody had a microwave break at 9 o'clock in the evening, or they have 24 hours person to call, they'll come and help them out. So that's like a nice stepping stone. And then we find that many students the second year will want to go and take their own accommodation. There is a lot of accommodation around the campus. So in the morning you get the experience of lots of students of all campus. On campus, we have restaurants, we have all sorts of sports facilities. We have, I think, the biggest football pitch, or certainly one of the most popular in Bahrain. And there's lots of societies as well. So there's a real balance at RCSI of not only working hard and obviously taking those exams and finishing that program, but also of actually getting involved certainly with the community. We help out with diabetes days, they get involved in cover runs. So there's a real community around the campus, and certainly that ability to reside on campus is there.
So a small announcement for the audience. Dear audience, do please consider filling the feedback form, the link which is posted in the chat box. Does the fees differ for an international non-Bahraini student?
No, to give you an idea of fees, the medical commencement program year is the bridging year that I talked about. Now that is $11,300 per year. Now the 5 and 6 year medical programs are $39,500 per year. And obviously that is subject to change, but at the moment I haven't heard anything of that changing. So that's to give you an idea that's for the 5 and 6 year program, but no different to students coming from different parts of the world.
Can students attending the medicine program in Bahrain transfer to any other sister university and vice versa?
No, you cannot. You can't transfer. When you study in Ireland, you have to go through an examination process. What we do offer instead of that is that for a number of students, and we can't promise it to all, that you can switch for a semester with a student studying in Dublin. So you get to experience that, because the program is completely aligned and exactly the same. They can swap places for a semester. And I think we probably have about 15 students per semester do that. But that isn't something that one would promise to every student to be able to do, because obviously you've got to have a person happy to switch with you to do that. So that's something that is available, but no, we cannot offer students to be able to do 2 years in Bahrain and the next 3 in Dublin. It's not possible, unfortunately.
Next question. Are the clinical simulation centers progressing during the COVID situation?
Yeah, really good question. We have been able to move our clinical simulation center, and it's actually in our enormous sports hall. So we are able to socially distance while still those students are still able to get that hands-on experience during this period. But yes, absolutely, the students are getting everything that they need just very safely.
With the simulation, other than the simulation, are there any videos that your university provides for the students so that they can watch and learn the process in the simulation?
Yes, I mean, fully supported. I am not an academic with the university, but absolutely. I think I would say to people to look at our website. You can do a virtual tour of the campus, which I think is really interesting. There's lots of different videos on there. And if there is anything that you would like to see that you perhaps don't find, again, please come directly to me. And I can, if I don't know myself, I can find out and get that information to you, because yes, we have an awful lot of information at our fingertips that we're able to share with people. And yes, and there's also a very good guide on the that we can send out, which is called University Application Guide, which again is a little bit like my presentation. It's fairly generic. It's not all about RCSI. It's about, again, breaking down that explore, decide and apply. And then we take it a couple of steps further. It's accept and arrive. So it's about the whole process of applying for university. So we do have an awful lot. We really want to support students to make the right decision. It's not, we don't expect every student to study with RCSI, but if we're passionate about healthcare and we want them to make the right decision for them and take on, you know, accept the right university for them.
Here we have the final question for you. In case of an emergency, do the university offer any facility for break for the students?
In terms of a isolation or something like that, is that what you're asking? On site, we work very closely with our hospitals. We certainly there. I know there.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
And now it's fine. Now it's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have an isolation suite, if that's what's being asked at the moment, but we certainly work very closely with all of the hospitals. So certainly from there we would, you know, students are supported, and they usually take out an insurance when they a medical insurance when they start their time with RCSI. But there isn't a dedicated isolation suite with RCSI.
Thank you so much. Your responses were really wonderful, and I hope the audience would really benefit from your responses. Thank you, madam, for the informative presentation. As we come to the end of a wonderful session, I would like to express a gratitude to each and everyone behind the grand success of this session. First and foremost, I express a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq for his great vision, leadership, and benevolence. May the Almighty bless His Majesty and this beautiful nation with peace and prosperity. On behalf of Indian School Muscat, the organizing team and the entire audience extend a very hearty word of thanks to Miss Andrea Triplo. We sincerely appreciate the time and efforts you took to share with us the courses you offer and the real pathway to medical university. Thank you so much, Miss Andrea Triplo. Wholeheartedly, I thank Honorable Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in the Sultanate of Oman, Dr. Baby Sam Samuel, and honorable members on the board, Mr. Ajay Kumar, President, Indian School Muscat Management Committee, ST members of Indian School Muscat Management Committee, and honorable principal, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Chauhan, presidents and ST members of all Indian School Muscat Management Committee in the Sultanate of Oman, honorable principals, vice principals, assistant vice principals, supervisors, coordinators, heads of departments, and teachers for the support and guidance for organizing such a big event. I thank all the students and parents for joining us today on this platform. My heartfelt gratitude to the entire Indian School Muscat team for making Abinay 2020 happen. Dear audience, do consider filling the feedback form, the link to which will be posted now in the chat box. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. Signing off is Nabhan Najib of Class 11A, Indian School Muscat. Thank you once again. Wishing you all success in your future endeavors. Stay safe. Stay home.
Thank you so much.